people in the Bitcoin space that want it to be a tool for financial freedom need to get wise to those efforts to co-opt and resist. In crypto, and specifically with Bitcoin, to criminalize mixers and criminalize any sort of service that affords you increased financial privacy. They don't want anyone to have financial privacy or online privacy anymore. The government is in the U.S. is organized crime, specifically the Department of Justice, and that's what they're doing. And keep in mind, too, the DOJ has an insane amount of Bitcoin it holds, and they want more.
Wait a minute, everyone. Get ready for the ultimate crypto investing website, the Bitcoin Seller. It's your golden ticket to an exclusive insiders club. Expert predictions, on-chain data, and breaking news, all for you. Imagine all crypto insights landing in your inbox daily, like having your own expert team. Don't miss this VIP opportunity. Click the link and secure your spot. Join now and ride the crypto roller coaster with the Bitcoin Seller. Whitney Webb put up a sneaky plot to mess with crypto, especially Bitcoin. Whitney warns everyone in the Bitcoin space to stay alert against attempts to take over and resist crypto. And guess who's behind this tricky dance? Brace yourself. It's the U.S. Department of Justice, hiding a stash of Bitcoin. Curious? We're diving into the depths of the crypto underworld. Get ready for an eye-opening journey with Whitney Webb.
The end of online privacy and anonymity. And they want to do this by having people link a government-issued ID to their internet access and internet activity. A lot of government policy, whether it's about this or something else, doesn't come organically from the government. It comes from think tanks. It comes from groups like that, or even the WEF, the World Economic Forum, that are then given to politicians, and politicians legislate and enact it, and then the state enforces it. But it's not necessarily the ideas of the legislature and the state itself, these policies. And more often than not, these think tanks are funded by corporations and billionaires and all of these guys. And they also own the politicians. So it's really them creating the policy. And they use the state as an enforcer to force it on the public, right? So that's, I guess, the global public-private partnership is what my colleague Ian Davis calls they, right? And I think it's pretty fair. He puts the BIS at the top, by the way, of the pyramid. But this policy, one of the earliest iterations of it, at least in the United States, was during the Obama administration. They called it a driver's license for the internet. The idea of, in order to access the internet, when you set up, internet connection at your house, the internet service provider links all of your internet traffic to your ID. And in doing so, the government and the signals intelligence arm or intelligence agency of the government then has access to not just everything you're posting and writing online, but also everything you read and consume online.
And everything you buy.
And everything you buy. Totally. I mean, this whole push is completely related to ending financial anonymity and financial privacy as well. It's a completely interrelated thing. And I've done pretty extensive deep dives on this going back to probably like 2021, because it's very tied up with how they're likely to force this regulated internet on the populace, because they're not just going to be like, let's do this now. I mean, people aren't going to go along with it. So they need some sort of event that gets people angry and afraid and panicking in order to stick it through. So basically, this is going to be folded into, I guess, what I would call a Cyber Patriot Act. The Patriot Act being the legislation pushed through in the U.S. after September 11th, 2001, right? A lot of which wasn't necessarily related to anything to do with 9/11, but was a huge power grab by the state taking advantage opportunistically of the panic after 9/11. So they need some sort of event like that to ram all this stuff through. There's an obvious push to censor more speech and link people's speech to their ID and have it more surveillable than ever before. Gutting encryption, why do they want to do that? So they can read everything that you say and all your transactions, follow them all. There's a similar effort in crypto, and specifically with Bitcoin, to criminalize mixers and criminalize any sort of service that affords you increased financial privacy. Where they want to take this, if anyone uses a mixer, they can go after you. That's what they want to set up. They don't want anyone to have financial privacy or online privacy anymore. And that's what part of this agenda about a regulated internet is. And it directly ties in with stuff like a central bank digital currency, at least what people are concerned about a CBDC for, which is the surveillance capability and the programmability aspect. It's all tied up with this effort to regulate the internet, which isn't really fair to say it's regulating the internet. It's more like taking complete control of the internet, a complete coup of the internet through unprecedented surveillance and control of people's online lives. At the same time that you have these same entities pushing for people to live their lives online as much as possible as part of the fourth industrial revolution and all of this other stuff. Like we saw in the COVID era, oh, we're locking down. You can't go out and do stuff in the physical world. You have to be online as much as possible. Education's online. Work is online. As much of your life as possible has to be online now because you can't go in person to the bank. You can't go in person to this. You should order your groceries through your phone and all of this stuff, So they're pushing us more and more into the digital realm and at the same time preparing to take more control of the digital realm than they have now by a significant degree. And that's not a coincidence. I'm sorry if you think that's coincidental. That's very naive of you.
Whitney Webb takes the wheel on our journey through the crypto odyssey. She's unveiling a big plan to shake up online privacy. This isn't your typical plot. It's a strategic move to link government-issued IDs to every digital move, creating a cyber world where being anonymous is a thing of the past. The real action isn't in the government, but in the think tanks, the folks who craft policies that end up as laws. It's a global team effort with corporations, billionaires, and politicians all tangled up. Whitney digs into history, tracing this plan back to the Obama days, setting the stage for what she calls a Cyber Patriot Act. Stick with us as we peel back the layers of this complex plot, connecting it to the bigger picture of a regulated internet.
People in Congress that get into Congress campaigning on certain issues, and then once they're there long enough, they backtrack completely. There's a lot of examples of that historically and currently in the U.S. for sure. Elizabeth Warren is garbage. The DNC got all this money, from Sam Bankman-Fried? How anti-crypto are they really? I think it's they're willing to play ball and set up regulations and be the kingmakers in the crypto industry. I think there's a lot of I think that's going to happen. And then they're going to try and nix everything that doesn't serve them. And again, financial privacy being the main thing that doesn't serve them. But they also want to give unprecedented control to the DOJ to go and contact any crypto exchange or even Tether, right? And be like, freeze these wallets. We've decided those wallets need to be frozen. So that's escalating, obviously. The whole thing that happened with Binance is like a big push towards that as well, because now Binance is basically going to have a chaperone appointed by the U.S. government, basically in charge of everything. Their chief compliance officer is a guy that used to work for, the Department of Justice. Come on, complaint about Binance from the DOJ is that they were allowing people that were subjected to U.S. sanctions to use their service, but they're not really like a U.S. company, are they? But the U.S. government, U.S. is an empire. They want to be able to go to any country and say, you can't do that. We're actually in charge. You know what I mean? So Binance not being under their thumb and being active in all these other countries, allowing people in Iran to use their services, for example. That was a big sticking point for them. It wasn't like criminals, terrorists in Iran. It was just like people in Iran. They're subject to U.S. sanctions. You're not complying with U.S. sanctions. And so we're going to charge you $1 billion and take out your chief executive and put our people in charge. This is the mafia, guys. I wrote a 1,000-page book about how the government is in the U.S. is organized crime, specifically the Department of Justice, and that's what they're doing. And keep in mind too, the DOJ has an insane amount of Bitcoin it holds, and they want more.
Whitney Webb shines a spotlight on the wild ways of politicians, pointing fingers at Elizabeth Warren and the DNC for changing tunes once in power. The story takes a turn as financial privacy becomes the main event, with the Department of Justice pulling the strings. Recent clashes, like the one involving Binance, add some drama, showing the power moves happening. This isn't just about rules. It's a big power play where control is the name of the game. If you've been with us so far, a big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Zella for your daily news. The link is waiting below. That's all for today's crypto news. Stick around for more updates, insights, and analysis on cryptocurrencies. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more exciting content.